Hello, my name is Destiny Medina. This is my presentation over the film, The Proposal. The true essence of the film, in my opinion, is when you put two different people from different sides of the social spectrum or the work-related spectrum, and they're forced to interact, meaning this relationship or this kind of relationship never would have happened unless it was forced. They inadvertently fall in love with each other. But before I get into that process, let's talk about their behaviors beforehand. Margaret, chief editor, she's rude, independent, uptight, intimidating, successful, feels superior, and has no interest in her employees' personal lives. Our second character is Andrew Paxton. He is her assistant. He is good-hearted, hardworking, humorous, and aspiring editor, and has no social life. Reason being will most likely be because Margaret Tate always works him constantly. The dynamic between the two is very clear. She sees him as useful, uses him to his full extent, has no interest in making time for him. It explains the using. She doesn't let him see his family despite knowing how they feel about her. They want him to quit. They don't understand why they're still working. He's still working for her, that kind of thing. And then Andrew, he fears her. He knows that his career is in her hands. He abides by her every need, and he doesn't care for her. It's just clear that he needs her in order to get his desired job position. This dynamic between the two changes for the first time in about 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, because for the first time, Margaret needs something from Andrew. That brings me to my situation. Margaret Tate is informed that her visa has been denied and she's being forced to leave the country. This will also result in her losing her job. So that explains why she really didn't want it to happen. She has the brilliant idea to force Andrew into marrying her. She blackmails him with his job, and he decides to blackmail her right back to get his promotion and to print his manuscript. The lifestyle changes that we see here is that Margaret and Andrew take a serious life commitment and turn it into a business transaction. They announce it to his family involving all of his loved ones, and this creates a more complicated situation because now you're involving people that you care about and you're lying to people you care about. The behavioral changes we see towards the middle of the film, Margaret has to try to show hospitality, be kind for once. She's not used to doing that. She's forced to stay at his parents' house and spend quality time with them when she prefers solitude. And Andrew, he is no longer afraid of her. He takes advantage of the situation and uses opportunities to be rude and grab her butt. The hostile nature as well between Andrew and his father becomes more strained. And I'll talk more about that in a second. The communication throughout the film, for the most part, kind of keeps a humorous, honest, opinionated vibe. They're very honest with each other, even at the beginning before the marriage proposal. They're just humorous with it. For example, Andrew and Margaret try to embarrass each other with their proposal stories to everyone. They create little embarrassing scenes that the other one did apparently, and everyone else is just looking around like, what? So it's pretty weird how they get everyone to be involved. The scene with Margaret and Gurney was very humorous, considering Margaret's dancing and singing, and Andrew even makes the comment to her, "You're a freak." So it's very, they're not too shy to tell each other how they feel until it becomes something that is actually truly deep down that they're afraid of. So the important these transitions were very important because it shows the changes in dynamic between the two. The first one I want to talk about is their first kiss. This kiss was forced upon them by the family. They didn't want to kiss, but I believe that this first encounter with each other was pleasant. Or I believe that this was the first encounter with each other that was pleasant, surprising them both. I think before any of this happened, they saw each other as the enemy and had no desire for the other. And I think this introduces a new experience with someone. You experience something pleasant as opposed to what you're normally used to. So I think this shocks them both. The second transition that I would like to talk about is the naked scene. As awkward as this scene must have been to film it, it is pretty essential because it breaks through weeks or months or years of ice that normal or typical relationships go through. And what I mean by that is when you're in a relationship, depending on the partners, y'all decide when y'all want to take that next step, to share each other's body or to see one another's body. For them, this accidentally happened, so they were forced to have this experience that any other normal couple would have without a time limit. I think this moment was important because it introduces sexual attraction. It's one thing to have a pleasant moment with somebody. You can have a pleasant conversation with someone you didn't like before. But to have sexual attraction to them is very important when it comes to a romantic relationship. And I think this scene introduces that. And it replaces repulsion, meaning they can't stand each other, with desire. The third important transaction that I would like to talk about is this moment when they're in the bedroom and they're talking about, or Margaret opens up about her tattoo. And she opens up about why she hates flowers because they remind her of funerals. And little details that Andrew never knew before because they're very personal to her. This is it's very intimate for them. And Andrew opens up and tells her, "You are a beautiful woman." And you can see Margaret actually smiles about that and she feels all stirry inside. And it's a very intimate moment for them. So I think this part was very essential. The last transition that I want to talk about that I feel that is very important. Oh, I'm sorry, this is not the final the second to last one. This transition is specifically for Margaret. This is her first encounter with family, with emotions in years. Margaret lost her parents at 16, and she's been on her own for that long. This is the first time that she's actually felt love from other people caring for her. And it stirs up love and also guilt for what she's forcing Andrew to go through. It makes her kind of panic in a way, and she freaks out and decides, oh my God, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And Andrew convinces her out of it. But this is important for her because I think this is the first time she's felt love from people since her parents had died. Aspects of concepts featured in the film. Margaret Tate, she's dominant. This whole time she's been dominant of Andrew for years. She's controlled every aspect of her life. Andrew, he's submissive. He's done everything he probably did everything his parents told him to do growing up, and so when he moved away, that was very rebellious. And he only agrees to the marriage proposal because he wants to get promoted. All these dominating, submissive personalities had been working this whole time for them, years, working fine, until they fall in love. So the final transition that I want to talk about is it takes Margaret this moment to realize she loved him. The moment she had to face all his family, all his friends, and take an oath under God and say, and agree to marry. And I think that's when she realized, I can't force someone that I really, really care about into something like this. I cannot lie to all these people. And so she breaks it off. and she leaves. And I think after Andrew being left at that altar, he realized he loved her too. And so that's when he chases her and follows her all the way back to work. Margaret is repulsive. She says, no, you don't want to be with me. I'm comfortable being alone. And she admits she's scared. Andrew says he's scared too. But they want to work it out. And so he proposes to her because he wants to date her. And that's how the movie finishes. They find out that they actually love each other. This, I find this film very interesting because, considering that these two people knew each other in a sort of very TMI way. He knew what size shoe she was, he knew she had a tattoo, things like that. And then she just knew him from what she assumed about him. And then I think it's interesting to have two people that knew each other re-know each other, relearn each other, and finding out that they actually belong together. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. These are my website links to my photos, and I hope you have a great day.